When it comes to antioxidant power, astaxanthin is truly top tier. It's 550 times stronger than vitamin C, over 700 times stronger than coenzyme Q10, and over 100 times stronger than vitamin E. In this video, we'll explore what astaxanthin is and why it's not just a summer thing, but a powerhouse all year round, especially in fall and winter. And, very importantly, we'll discuss the right form of astaxanthin and the best dosage for different needs. I'm going to get right to the point. What is one of the absolute main benefits of astaxanthin? It creates a balance between oxidants and antioxidants in your cells. It's like a balancing tool. And it has another benefit. It's stable in supplements. That means it's a totally stable compound. We have lots of great compounds in fruits and vegetables, but we can't take them in high doses. Simply put, we would have to eat boxes of fruits and vegetables every day to get a therapeutic dose, or to see the effects that studies show, especially if we are deficient. But before we talk about all these details, let's start from the beginning. Astaxanthin is a carotenoid. It's found in certain algae and plankton, and it is known as one of the strongest antioxidants, derived from the green algae Haematococcus pluvialis. And under stress, like lack of water, lack of nitrogen, extreme heat, or high salt content in the water, this algae produces astaxanthin. And the animals that eat this algae absorb this astaxanthin. And that's why we have this beautiful red colouring of crustaceans like lobsters, salmon, and even flamingos. So, through the food chain, these substances get into the animals and we see this beautiful red colour. And astaxanthin has other benefits. Astaxanthin is such a multitasker. It can intercept many different kinds of free radicals, and it's known as a gentle antioxidant. This means that, compared to other antioxidants, after absorbing a free radical, the molecule itself doesn't become highly reactive. That's always a problem in the body when we create too many oxidants, even though we're consuming antioxidants. And similar to other carotenoids, astaxanthin can be easily transported to the tissues through the lymphatic system. So another advantage is its transport to the target tissue. This is even dependent on dietary fats. So, if you want to take astaxanthin, take it with a meal because its bioavailability increases by 2 times when taken with fats or right before a meal. And watch out, smoking dramatically reduces astaxanthin levels. Before we start, a small request. Please subscribe to the channel so YouTube knows to show these videos to other interested people. But back to astaxanthin. What's the goal so we can stay healthy for a long time and delay aging? We need this balance between oxidation and antioxidation, or reduction, in the body and in the cells. This means the ratio of the production of so-called reactive oxygen species, free radicals, and this whole system, it always has to be balanced. And here, there are problems. We humans have an imbalance due to chronic stress, environmental pollution, and also exercise. Exercise is good. It gives the athlete a strong oxidative stimulus. But we also need the opponent so we can catch these strong oxidants again. And this is where astaxanthin works. And astaxanthin has these positive effects. We also see this in the skin. This basically leads us right to the next amazing thing about astaxanthin. By taking it, we can activate the NRF2 factor. So this is an important factor that brings the balance between oxidizing agents and antioxidants back into equilibrium. And there are fantastic research results here that show that astaxanthin can increase the lifespan of worms and also of yeast. And in male mice that were fed with astaxanthin relatively late, starting from the 12th month of life. So that's very, very late for such experiments. It was observed there that the average lifespan of these mice that received astaxanthin was increased by 12%. Studies on humans are now underway there as well. There are many human studies, but this is being specifically investigated again now. It seems that this substance then protects the mitochondria, which are very susceptible to this oxidative stress, and astaxanthin can already counteract aging processes in studies. And you can see that on the skin, of course. You can see it in the eyes, you can see it in the oxidation of other tissues, of blood fats, for example. And I have to say again that astaxanthin unfortunately doesn't have any official health claims yet. What does that mean? A manufacturer of an astaxanthin product isn't allowed to write on the product what health benefits it has. We are still in the research stage with humans. Maybe we have to wait another 10-20 years until the research is finished so that there are official health claims. And we see a very, very clear advantage with astaxanthin. And most people know astaxanthin in this context too. For example, there's the protection of the skin from UV rays, and that's why it was very, very popular this summer to take astaxanthin. But not only that, it also reduces skin aging, wrinkles, age spots, the studies show. Those improve, also skin elasticity. Even skin hydration is improved by astaxanthin. And there are two great studies here. In one study, 30 healthy women were examined, and they took 6 milligrams, 2 milligrams of astaxanthin, and another 2 milligrams of astaxanthin solution for their skin daily for 8 weeks. There, a reduction in wrinkle formation around the eyes was observed. The size of age spots on the cheeks was reduced. Overall, skin moisture improved, and this was also tested on men. For 6 weeks, they took 6 milligrams of astaxanthin daily, and they also experienced similar positive results, improved crow's feet and so on, overall improved moisture content. So that was a really interesting study, and of course it was also tested with UV light. There, 4 milligrams of astaxanthin were used per day, and it was observed that tolerance to UV rays increases significantly when taking astaxanthin. One more quick thing. Studies also show that astaxanthin improves blood lipid levels and increases good cholesterol, HDL. It also lowers bad cholesterol, VLDL. Lots of research shows that depending on the amount of astaxanthin taken, these values can be significantly improved. A lot of research is being done in this area too. We're seeing some evidence, although it's not super strong yet, that people taking astaxanthin also experience a slight decrease in blood pressure. But we have much, much stronger evidence when it comes to lowering blood sugar and diabetes. There's a meta-analysis that shows astaxanthin has anti-diabetic effects, improving insulin sensitivity, reducing oxidative stress and inflammation, and improving the function of blood vessel walls. Astaxanthin has become really popular lately because a lot of athletes are taking it, in both recreational and professional sports. Why? Athletes experience increased oxidative stress and also increased nitrosative stress. If you haven't heard of it, nitrosative stress is one way cells protect themselves from germs. This means when germs enter the body, certain substances are released, and these substances are highly reactive to fight off the germs. But if this process gets out of control, it's called nitrosative stress. And it's a really bad situation when the body can no longer manage this nitrosative stress. Body structures, like simple fats, the body's own fats, cell walls, proteins and so on, get damaged. So, this is a huge problem, and especially with a lot of exercise in competitive sports, but also in dedicated recreational athletes, this can lead to a problem with recovery. And we see in studies that astaxanthin improves this recovery phase. Athletes regain their energy much, much faster. We already see it in animal studies. It is currently also being investigated in human studies, but one study was quite interesting, and I just assume that's why many athletes like to take it. The lactate level, the lactic acid level in the muscles, could be greatly reduced in one publication. That's exactly why you get tiredness, a burning feeling in the muscles and so on. And a study was done in Japan. They studied men, and one group took 6 milligrams of astaxanthin daily. These were athletes. And after a few weeks of intake, they examined how the lactate levels behaved, and both groups had to complete a 1,200-meter run. And the group that took astaxanthin had an almost 30% reduced production of lactic acid. And when it comes to free radicals, inflammation is always involved. And so, there are publications showing that painful swelling in the joints can be reduced, that perhaps people with arthritis, with other inflammatory joint diseases, can really benefit. These antioxidant properties of astaxanthin They come into play here, and they also seem to protect the cells in the joints, which may have a positive effect on cartilage breakdown. But that's not all. Astaxanthin has another big benefit, and that is it can cross the blood-brain barrier and get into the brain. And we know our brain tissue is super sensitive to this oxidative stress, and we basically want to protect our brain as much as possible. And astaxanthin can do some good here. This has been studied. People who complained about forgetfulness overall received either 6 or 12 milligrams of astaxanthin or a placebo for 12 weeks. And the people who took the highest dose of astaxanthin had much less buildup of toxins in the brain that are linked to dementia and forgetfulness. They also felt better overall. And basically, you could say that parts of the cell membrane, the so-called phospholipid hydroperoxides, ultimately damage our brain, and astaxanthin can prevent that. These substances and their accumulation are found in dementia patients. Astaxanthin seems to counteract this, and now it gets super interesting because this substance not only reaches the brain but also the eye. This means that good blood flow to the eye and retina is basically the prerequisite for optimal rotational ability. And circulatory disorders are seen as a common cause of eye diseases like glaucoma or other things. And astaxanthin can improve blood circulation in the eye, studies show. It also prevents damage from UV rays. We know we can harm our eyes with UV radiation, think snow blindness. And above all, astaxanthin also seems to protect the so-called photoreceptor cells and ganglion cells from inflammation and oxidative stress. The eye is a very, very complex organ with specialized cells, including specialized nerve cells. And here too, it seems that age-related macular degeneration responds somewhat to astaxanthin. And very interesting, astaxanthin can also reduce eye strain in people who spend a lot of time in front of screens. So, super interesting here too. A study was done here, a smaller study, but still, 36 people divided into 2 groups. The first group, 6 milligrams of astaxanthin, the second group, a placebo. And what did they see? After 4 weeks, the treatment group actually had improved blood flow to the eye compared to the placebo group. Another thing I don't want to keep from you. There are studies that suggest that astaxanthin increases the activity of certain immune cells, like T cells or natural killer cells or even antibody-producing cells. You know, natural killer cells, my personal superheroes. These are cells that can actually destroy viruses, dissolve viruses, but can also identify cells infected by viruses because these infected cells cause a big problem. They then produce viruses in incredibly large numbers. They have become independent. They no longer perform their natural function as a human cell, but are, so to speak, only hostages or zombies of these viruses, and they have to produce them. And here, too, the natural killer cells take effect. A good immune system is, of course, crucial for warding off infections and fighting pathogens. It's not just astaxanthin that's important, but the basics like zinc, selenium, vitamin C, vitamin D, and a whole host of other substances. They should simply be taken together if you want to stay healthy. And now the big question is, which astaxanthin is the best? And here one must say, the natural astaxanthin, which is extracted from these algae. It is 55 times stronger than the synthetically produced astaxanthin. This means from this microalgae, it can be extracted. And overall, you should make sure that you never use the synthetic one, but always only the natural one. And there are different forms of astaxanthin. I am personally a fan of liposomal astaxanthin, and you should take between 4 and 8 milligrams. That is, for people without health problems, a dosage of 4 milligrams, 6 milligrams, is what repeatedly appears in studies, and it essentially doesn't cause any major problems. You can, of course, take more. Perhaps talk to your homeopathic doctor or your naturopathic practitioner. For arthritis, tennis elbow and so on, carpal tunnel syndrome, if there are silent inflammations and so on, you could possibly go up to 12 milligrams. Sun protection from within, that's always promoted with 4 to 8 milligrams, and immune system stimulation here too we're at about 4 milligrams daily dose. This has basically turned out to be harmless. Crohn's disease, this severe autoimmune disease of the intestine, is also quite interesting. There are also studies with Astaxanthin there. They went up to 24 milligrams per day, but I would never do that without consulting a doctor. Now the big question, does astaxanthin have side effects? And a great feature of astaxanthin is that it can't harm the body. You know, there are antioxidants that can then transform themselves or can have an oxidative effect again. Vitamin C, for example, is something like that. If we exceed the 30-gram threshold with the infusion, then we no longer have vitamin C that has an antioxidant effect, but rather one that has an oxidative effect. So this is often a therapeutically desired effect. We know that the cells can also react positively to something like that. During sport, we have a real oxidative storm, but in principle, astaxanthin is something that is balanced. That's why it's clearly superior to these other carotenoids and antioxidants here. Is there an unwanted side effect or an unwanted effect? Yes, you can get slightly orange palms or soles of your feet, but only if you exceed these 12 milligrams daily. This means that the astaxanthin is then stored in the skin. For many people, this naturally also has the desired effect, like sun protection. So similar to carrots, if you notice. Oh, I'm getting a yellowing of the skin here, then you should just reduce it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. That was a quick run-through of astaxanthin. You can order my best astaxanthin in my web store, www.walter-mall.com. Thanks. See you again in my next video about healthy living, healthy cooking, and a long, healthy life. Your OMAD.